Okay, so we're gonna get started with my very first story that I'm going to be telling everyone about when I went boating school. Yeah, I went to boating lessons, so let's get started with the chapter, okay? So I did boating lessons um when I was like 4 years ago, I believe. Like it was in the summer of 2016, and my aunt Anne asked my mom if she could sign me and my sister Kwai-sama up for boating lessons, and that she will pay for the whole thing and etc. and that. And back then, me and Kawaii-sama were very lazy and bored, and all we would do was just play Minecraft on our PlayStation 3 and just stay inside. But we were forced to go by our mom, and once we finally went, we started making friends, and basically that's how I went. So I have 3 stories, each one funnier than the last. Mostly my first story that I'm going to tell you is way more funnier because it. You know what? Let's just get on with it because you'll find out once I tell you. Boating story number 1: the rock incident. Now, one of the lessons I remember as a kid was steering the sailboat. Now, my sister made a friend who was a boy named Stone, and he was really joyful, though that he did say he was suicidal. So I was in a mixed inspiration personality type of thing when I was like around him, because I don't know if he was suicidal or not, or he was just pretending to be suicidal, which you should not be pretending. But any other way, so we were on a boat with a counselor named Cole, another girl who I do not remember her name or who she was, but I know there was a girl on the boat with us, and just Stone, Kawaii-sama, and me. So you're wondering, so Cole is a counselor, and why was he on the boat with me? Well, back then I was very, very dramatic. I would like literally cry, have tantrums. Even if I was like at an older age where I should probably stop crying, but I couldn't figure out why I was like that as a kid. And I really, when I look back on that, I hate myself for it. But we're not here to talk about that story or any other stories that involve that, but I will mention them sometime around like that because that's just how I was back then. But we're here to talk about boating lessons, not my anxiety. So he was the only counselor that was on our boat with us, and as we were sailing, I was holding the helm. The girl was was steering, and I do not remember what Kwai-sama or Stone were doing. They were just like chilling, I guess. And Cole was also chilling with his sunglasses and stuff like that. So I asked the girl, could I steer? And I literally regretted myself after when that happened. So she said yes, we switched places. And as I started steering, for some reason I forgot which way was left and right. And when I looked up, I saw the rocks, and we all saw the rocks, and we were going towards it, and everybody started screaming because it was just a bunch of rocks, and this pissed it off Cole so bad that he told us to stop screaming. And to tell you how fast this boat was going, we were going pretty slow, and we were just screaming while all the other boats were going around us, and we're just screaming as the rocks were like slowly coming towards us. Once Cole finally got so mad, he got up and finally saw the rocks, and he rushed towards me like it was a dramatic movie scene. And then he grabbed the steering wheel and steered us out of there. I don't even know what the steering wheel call to a boat is. If anyone knows that, please comment down. And during when we were screaming, like, Stone, he was not the one screaming at all. What he was doing, he was going, wee! Not even caring a little craziness about what was going on the boat. And once Cole steered us out there, he went, aw. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Okay, so boating story number 2, my first sunburn. So I always listened to my parents when I had a sunburn or anything out like that. So like we always put sunscreen on every time we would go to the beach. And throughout this time, I never really got to put on sunscreen because I forgot. So like at the beach, so this beach that we use for like boating and all that stuff, like it was pretty crowded in the summertime. And since we got at like a late time, like an early time before anyone has gotten to the beach, we had the entire beach to ourselves. So yeah, I was pretty lucky when that happened. And so like we were playing in the water and all that stuff, and I got tired of playing in the water, so I decided to just like do like a little bit of sunbathing, which I didn't really care what I was doing. I was just relaxing. And then I felt this burning sensation on my back, so like I started to try to ignore it. New rule number 1, don't ignore it. And so like since it got worse, I decided to go back in the water, which just made the pain even worse. So then I found out that I had sunburn, but they were both on my 2 shoulders, so eek, that was a really hurting catastrophe. Because, like, at the time, me and my sister, we would sleep together, and we were just, like, calm like that, because we were very, like, nervous sleeping in different rooms and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's just a sister bonding that we used to have. I'm pretty sure everybody has that sister bond. And so, like, yeah, I was like in the bed, and like I could just feel the pain from my shoulders, because like getting sunburn on your shoulders is the worst feeling ever. I'm pretty sure if anyone else who's watching this video and has gotten sunburn on their shoulders, they would know how much it hurts. So boarding story number 3 was a kayak versus a spider. So once we started doing kayak lessons, so when we were doing kayaking, I was put on a kayak with my sister, and we were kayaking down the lake to an ice cream shop. Yes, there was an ice cream shop, and we were just kayaking down to get to the ice cream shop. And as we were kayaking, I saw a spider. Now, I'm arachnophobic, so I hate spiders, and if I ever saw a spider, I would start cussing like 24/7. Luckily, I was not into cussing back then because I was a good child, and I'm still am today. I'm way too innocent. So, yeah. And so, like, I saw the spider, and then I started screaming. And when I was, like, tipping over the boat, and you know what happens, like, do not tip over a kayak, because then you're just gonna flip it over with your other partner on it. So, like, that's what happened. I flipped over the boat, but I meant the kayak, but Kawaii-sama says that the kayak did not flip over, but to me, it did. So we're just gonna go with that story. And so, like, when we were flipping it back over, the counselors in their speedboat with their jet blade, just never mind. So they came over to us, and they had to, like, drive me over there and back, because I didn't want to go back on the kayak. And Bethany just had excuse me, I did not say Bethany, I meant Kawaii-sama. Okay, Bethany is her real name, by the way. Sorry, Kawaii-sama, if I'm mentioning your real name. So, like, yeah, and Kawaii-sama had the kayak all the way back and to the ice cream place, and she hates me for that. Actually, nowadays, like, we used to have, like, a fun bond, but over time, we started hating each other, and Kawaii-sama just wants to stay 10 feet away from me like we have COVID-19, but we don't. But that's how it is. So, the last story, number 4, is parent boating, which the final day of the boating school was where you go sailing with your parents, so on kayaks. So, I was on a kayak with my mom, and then I saw another spider. So, like, due to my mom's weight, I flipped over the kayak yet again, And I was on a kayak with Kawaii-sama because, like, she, hated the last time when I flipped over the kayak. Though that it was the spider's fault, not mine. And so, she did went on the kayak with us. So, yeah. Luckily, she was not flipped over a second time. But, yeah. So, that was the ending of the story for now. Like, and there are more stories yet to come because I got like over 20 more stories to tell. And if you want to hear more of these stories, you can check out my Wattpad, Stories of Silver. And later on the line, I also, like, all the chapters that are on there is that I will be, like, talking about them on my YouTube channel. And that's basically how I'm going to do the Wattpad story on my YouTube channel for Stories of Silver. So basically it's just normal and all that stuff. And you probably might notice that, like, the, pictures don't change like they do in normal animated videos when they talk about stories and all that stuff. Well, I'm not that kind of person because I'm really terrible when it comes to animation. That's Kawaii-sama's business. She's like animator number one in the family, including my mom, because she's really good at art. But enough of that. I hope you enjoyed the story, and you might want to stay tuned for more stories that come on the line because they are hilarious than the first. So, see you again next time. Goodbye.